Let's start the show by talking about my new sponsor, Paloma Verde Store. Head over to palomaverdestore.com for all of your CBD needs. They've got the CBD gummies, topicals, the salve, sports cream, soft gels, the tinctures. They've even got pet products. I love this stuff. Having gone to a night shift recently and having trouble sleeping during the day, it helps mellow me out and put me right down whenever I need to get some sleep for the day, so I'll be refreshed for my night shift. And Carlos and his wife Vanessa are awesome people, so I highly recommend go over and check out palomaverdestore.com for all of your CBD needs. And when you get there, if you enter in the promo code FACTS, you get 25% off anything in the store. Plus, if you sign up for the email, you get an additional 10% off. So that's potentially 35% off on your first order. And all orders over $75 are free shipping. So go over to palomaverdestore.com and check it out.
This episode will be completely taken out of context. Welcome to the Fact Check This podcast.
All right, Fact Check This podcast, episode 63, and there is no such thing as herd immunity anymore. It doesn't exist. There's no chance of ever achieving it. When Dr. Anthony Fauci was recently asked about herd immunity, he said that, let me make sure I get this right, I think we should just forget about that. He claims that we don't know what the number is for COVID to reach herd immunity. Never mind that it's projected that Sweden and a number of other countries have already achieved herd immunity. Never mind that that's a thing that actually exists throughout all of human history. Never mind facts or science or anything. We don't know what the number is. And the reason they don't know what the number is because there is not a number. It's the reason that they can never tell us what the case number can be before things can go back to normal. It's the reason that they can never tell us what what signifies actual progress in the way of getting the world back to normal. The goalpost has to progressively move over and over again so that they can continue to drive the narrative of fear and dumbassery and keep people muzzled and caged up. And so we just have to forget about herd immunity. You can't put a number on that, because as soon as you hit that number, then everybody's going to be like, all right, fuck you, we're done with this, let's get on with life. So they're not even going to talk about herd immunity anymore. We just need to forget about that. That's not a realistic possibility. Herd immunity doesn't actually exist for such a horrific pandemic as COVID. There can be no herd immunity from COVID. It's ever changing, ever progressing. It's always mutating and getting worse and worse. It's gonna be the death of all of us. Like, why haven't all of us unmasked, unvaccinated morons keeled over yet? We have left the realm of actual science and real information and statistics and figures and facts. We are in the world of narratives and bullshit. And like even Joe Biden has like the official narrative going forward is not going to be herd immunity. Like they've abandoned that because because herd immunity sets a certain standard. And if there's a standard set, because originally the herd immunity was, I think it was like 50 to 55% would be good enough. Well, then they changed it to 70, and now they've been saying 80, and now they're just like throwing it out altogether because, and it's the same way they treated the vaccine early on. They said that if you had COVID, there was no reason for you to get the vaccine. But then they changed their mind and said, no, if you have had COVID, you still should get the vaccine, because people weren't getting the vaccine because so many people had already had COVID. So everybody's like, all right, I already had COVID, so fuck this vaccine, I don't need it. So the reason herd immunity has to be thrown by the wayside is because it actually establishes a realistic goal that you can get to, and they can't have real goals. It's the reason government budgets are bullshit, because there is no amount of money that they actually need. They just need more. There is no threshold for herd immunity. There is no threshold for the percentage of the population that's been vaccinated. There is no threshold for what the minimum case numbers or minimum deaths need to be to get back to normal. You cannot ever have anything with any level of like finite measurability where government's involved, because then the precedent has been established, and once you get to that, then if they continue with the bullshit, everybody knows it and everybody sees it, and it just becomes obvious. So as long as you keep it all, and it's the thing that people have historically been pissed off with politicians about, is you know that political speak, never giving definite answers, always being wishy-washy, always setting yourself up to back yourself out so that you can say, well, I didn't actually say that, this is what I actually said. You never establish any finality to anything, because then it's set in stone, and then the second that you start fucking around and breaking your word, everybody can call you to the carpet on it. So to be in a political position like all of these politicians, and like Fauci is a fucking bureaucrat. So Fauci has a medical degree and has never actually been a doctor at any point in his life. He has been a career bureaucrat. He has worked for the CDC or the government in some capacity for literally his entire professional career. He's never actually practiced medicine. He has just been a figurehead. And as it just so happens, he's gotten more attention over the last couple of years. But he also, as a bureaucratic medical figurehead, he has a long track record of being wrong and horrible on everything. So how is this any different? But we ignore all of that, just like we ignore the fact that Joe Biden authored the 94 crime bill and is a primary reason why we have police brutality and all of the issues that we have with the criminal justice system today. We ignore all of the factual evidence and run with a dumbass narrative that they craft. It's the narrative that they create. None of it makes any fucking sense. And the thing that they're going to start rolling with now on COVID is, and I've got an article here like where Biden talks about that that herd immunity is not a realistic thing, and they just want to get to good enough. More or less, they define it as the basic flu. That's effectively what it boils down to, is COVID is the flu. COVID's the new flu. Because, we just saw during this last flu season that there is no more actual flu. Everything is COVID. Well, COVID's the new flu. It's a seasonal virus that affects the upper respiratory system. It's actually much less deadly to children than the flu ever had been. But it's going to change, and it's going to mutate, and it's going to, every season it's going to be a new seasonal COVID, a new seasonal flu. And they're going to keep pushing that these vaccines, when the flu vaccine has never been fucking effective. Like, the flu vaccine is a joke. And I've never gotten the flu vaccine, and I've never gotten the flu. How does that work out? My mother, well, she was a teacher. She got the flu vaccine every year, and every fucking year she got the flu. I kind of, I'll kind of roll the dice and take my chances on that. And it's the same with this. Like, why do we need 100% vaccination for a disease that has a 99.97 survival rate that doesn't affect kids under the age of 16, that really is only deadly for people who are already basically on their way out anyway. Like, I mean, not to be harsh, but that's really what it boils down to. And the vaccines are having massive, like, wide scale negative impacts, bad side effects, death. Like, at this point, COVID is much safer than the vaccine. I don't give a shit what the fact checkers say about it. Like, that's the way it is right now. Like, why would you take a shot that's got a 2% chance of being negative side effects or worse, when you could not and take the risk of getting a disease that there's a 99.97% chance nothing bad happens at all. I would much rather be sick for a week and a half than possibly 2-3 years down the road find out that I've got some horrible thing wrong with me as a result of these experimental vaccines that haven't been fucking tested. They haven't been tested. You're the test subject. You're the guinea pig. Congratulations. And I don't care if you got it. Like, if you got it, congratulations. Good for you. I wish you all the best. I hope 2-3 years down the road you don't grow a third arm, and if you do, let's find a way to put it to good use. You know, I mean, if you got 3 arms, you can be a more productive member of society. And maybe that's what this is going to be. Maybe this is going to be the next step of human evolution, is that the vaccine creates a whole bunch of fucking mutants that make all the rest of us, like normal people, obsolete. And like, we're just going to be left behind because we can't be as productive to society because we don't have 2 heads and we don't have 7 arms, and we're still stuck with 10 fingers and 10 toes. And that second opposable thumb is going to be like the thing that separates y'all from the rest of us, normies, and you're going to have all of the upper hand going forward with, whatever crazy sci-fi shit comes in the future. And I'm all for it. I want to live in that world. I just don't want anybody to force me to be one of the subjects of these experiments. Like, if you want to get the vaccine, get the vaccine. Good. Do it. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. Not hurting me any. I just want you to leave me the fuck alone and let me make my decisions for myself. Is that too much to ask? I don't think so. Pay attention, the goalposts are going to continue to move. If you listen to the most recent episode of Peddling Fiction, Pfizer is raking in billions. Pfizer is up big over the last year. I wonder why that is. And I talked about it a couple weeks ago. Like, there's an article from 2017 that talked about Moderna was a sinking ship and needed something big in the way of vaccinations to keep the company afloat. And here we are. Hey, who do you think is benefiting from all of this shit? Like, it's not you. It's not me. Government doesn't give a shit about us. It's all the big pharmaceutical companies, and they are deeply embedded with the government. And like, the craziest thing, God, I was trying to wrap up, and I'm just gonna keep going and whatever. Fuck it. Like, the craziest shit about this to me is the fact that the people who are the most adamant supporters of letting the government do all this shit, of getting vaccinated, of wearing the mask, of trusting the science, are also the people who, within the last 4 or 5 years, were anti-big pharma, anti-fascism, anti-authoritarianism, supposedly, anti all of these things. Like, when Trump was in office, you didn't want any of it. You didn't want the police state. You didn't want big pharma. You didn't want to take Trump's vaccine. Let you in on a little secret. It's still Trump's vaccine. Biden just came in on the tail end of it. He had nothing to do with it other than showing up after it had already been made. Still trumps vaccine. Love the principles of the left. None whatsoever. But that's okay, because your opponents on the right don't have any principles either. It's all a giant fucking joke. Alright. For real. Wrapping up. Because this was just like a extra episode on a Friday that I had not intended to do, but God. When you see the headlines that they're just not even, that herd immunity is out the window and we're not even considering it anymore. It's like, you can only shift the goalposts so many times before the goalpost loses its structural integrity and completely falls apart. And man, this thing is falling apart fucking fast. It's highly entertaining for me. If you are not an anarchist at this point, how can I help you get there? Because I want you to come join me on the dark side. It's a beautiful thing to watch the whole thing, crumble and burn. I'm what's known as a collapsitarian. I think the end is coming, and I want to see it happen as quickly as possible. Because once you realize that this whole system is completely fucked from the ground up, like it's deeply embedded. It is rooted in there. The corruption and just the rot. And once you realize that it's dying and very close to dead, you can get enjoyment from watching it. Like, I don't even really get mad about it anymore. Like, Janet Yellen is a horrible piece of shit and has done everything that I said she was going to do back in January. And inflation is going batshit crazy. And it's only going to bring about the end. A little more quickly. A lot more quickly. And I'm just over here like, yes, do it, fucking burn it to the ground. Oh God, yes. Saves me from having to buy matches. I love it. Crash the whole fucking thing. Have a good weekend.